welcome to Moving Well. You know, each week I say this is not an exercise class, but I don't know that I've said what it is. In this class, we're actually focused on having flexible minds. And if we have a flexible mind, we will end up with a flexible body. The flexible body is a bonus. So if we don't do something to wake up our brain, what happens is we get into our routines, we get into our ruts. Even if we're exercising, there's a limit to where we go. But if we have a flexible mind, that means we start to use the language of the brain. And the language of the brain are the 9 essentials that we've talked about in class repeatedly. And they include things like moving slowly, because when we move fast, we can only do our habits. And we're about changing the habits that aren't serving us in this class. Moving slowly, paying attention to what we're doing, paying attention to what we sense and feel. Because when we're mindful, then it is giving our brain information. And our brains are so amazing that our brain will feed back information. So even if we take time to imagine a move, if there's ever a move that's difficult or it's uncomfortable or painful, don't hesitate to just stop and imagine the move, because our brain literally begins to organize our nervous system and our muscles to begin to do the moves. So that's a great way to begin to change some of our habits that aren't serving us so well. So some other things are being curious. You know how kids are so curious, and kids are learning all the time. As we get older, we tend to lose that quality of curiosity. So let yourself get curious and just be really interested in what you're sensing and feeling. Let's see what else. There are 9 of them. So, and I'm not remembering all of them right now. But I'll remember them as through the lesson. But that gives you enough to focus on right now anyway. So go ahead and lay on your back. And we start, you want to be sure you have enough support under your head, so that basically a good gauge for you is to think about your chin and your forehead being in an even line. Does anybody need, everybody's doing pretty good. But, wait a minute here. Is that a flat piece, or is it? Let's try giving you this. I think it'll work a little better. Try that. Is that enough?
Well,
How's
better.
that? Is that comfortable?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Everybody else got something flat under their head? Okay. Take time now to. I'm going to get you a little something different. Pay attention to what parts of you are actually in contact with the floor now. What parts do you rest most heavily on? It would be good if your forehead and chin were level. Let's see if we can make that happen. Try that.
That's a little better, thank you.
Oh, let's try one. Whew, these are cold.
I was thinking I'd be sinking down.
Okay. Well, if I notice you sinking down, how does that feel? Okay, good. All right. So, the only reason I'm changing what's under your head is that I want something flat so that your head is free to move.
Okay.
There isn't restriction. How does that feel?
Good.
Is it enough or not enough?
I think it's enough.
It could be a little more. Let's see. I might use one of your towels. So, okay. All right, so now focus on your breathing. Notice, where do you feel the movement as you inhale and exhale? That should do it. How deep in your torso do you feel the breath going now? And bring your attention down to your heels. Notice the leaning point of your right heel and your left heel. And notice the direction that your toes are pointing. And as you scan now through your ankles and your lower legs, through the area of your knees, notice if there's space behind your knees. Continue on up through your thighs, noticing the similarities between the two legs and the differences. Scan all the way up into your hip joints in the middle of your pelvis there. Feel the right side and the left side of your pelvis. Which side do you tend to lean more heavily on one side than the other? Or are they pretty equal? What part of your sacrum are you resting on? That flat bone in the middle of your pelvis. At the top of your sacrum, your spine starts. Notice, is there space between your low back and the floor? If so, how much now? That may change at the end of the lesson. And then just continue to scan up your spine, up the vertebra of your low back, to your mid back, and up between your shoulder blades, to C7, that large vertebra at the base of your neck, and then on through your neck into your head. Feel the weight of your head. Just gently roll your head a little bit left and a little bit right, just to feel what's available as far as easy movement. Notice if your head goes more easily to one side than the other. Feel your two shoulder blades, the right shoulder blade, the left shoulder blade. Scan down your right arm, the upper arm to the elbow, elbow through your forearm to your wrist, and through your hand. And do the same thing down your left arm, the upper arm to the elbow, elbow to through your lower arm, your wrist and your hand. And just notice things like what direction does your palm face, how far from your body or how close to your pelvis are your hands resting, and is it the same on the right and the left? And now roll to your side and come to sit. And if side sitting comfortably is not an option, if you're not comfortable sitting sideways on the floor, then I'm going to give you a chair.
Any particular side?
Yes. You're going to lean on your right hand and your legs will fold to your left. So sit. And you sit, so you're.
Right, and the legs go to the left? Is that what you said, like this?
You're going to sit down. Yeah, you're going to lean on your right hand, your legs will go to the left. Okay, then we need a chair. For anybody, no, I don't want you struggling.
She's not leaning on her right hand, though. I think you got it.
Oh, you're right, I've got it wrong.
Yeah, no, I can do it this way, it's the other way.
Okay,
Go one way,
Wanna
left,
go-
your left hand, your legs go to the right.
left.
Left hand, legs go to the right.
That's it, clever, y'all.
Have you guessed that? Lean on your right hand.
No, you're.
Left hand, lean on your left hand. Your legs go to the right, yeah.
I can't, I feel like I'm
Okay.
going awfully hard.
Then we're going to give you a chair. And anybody that is not comfortable that way is going to have a chair.
Yeah.
So this is do as I do, not as I say.
I guess I gave it away that I am dyslexic. So it's been an ongoing challenge in this.
Oh, that just adds a dimension to your practice.
Oh, actually, we can use this chair for you. Why don't you just come up here and sit on the chair?
Me?
Yes. Are you comfortable? You're not.
I'm comfortable.
Are you?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're on the wrong side.
Is anyone else?
We're all,
It's a-
are we supposed to be on our hip bone or our cheekbone?
You need a chair.
Yeah, I need to sit both. I can't get it.
You want to be comfortable. It's self-defeating to.
That was hurting.
Oh dear. You already got your workout.
She always tells me it's fine. I was just there. Oh, it's fine.
Just going to fold this up for the moment.
Based on blood work.
I can do it.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay. You know what? I should be sitting behind you guys. Then I wouldn't lead you astray. No, we're not changing. No, that would probably look a little weird. Okay, so everybody's leaning on their left hand. Their legs are to the right. Okay. So now bring your right hand. Bring your right hand up so that your wrist is like level with your nose or that space right in that vicinity. And just let your wrist kind of hang so that it's comfortable. And just begin turning. You're going to keep looking at your wrist, and you're going to turn yourself to the left. And come back. And keep it totally in the range of ease. The range of ease will increase as we continue in the lesson. So. And if you're on a chair, come forward on the chair. Slide forward so that your sit bones are still on the chair, but you're not enough of your thigh to keep you from moving. So you're gently turning to the left as far as you go comfortably. And just do that a few times, keeping your eyes on your wrist. Notice, do you inhale or do you exhale as you turn? Let your hand relax. Let your wrist kind of hang. So go as far as you go comfortably. Your eyes are following. And pause. And just bring your arm down and just pause for a moment. Rest for a moment. And then bring your wrist back up again. And this time, do the turn a couple times, and the second time, stay where you go easily and comfortably. So you're going to stay turned to the side. And now keep your eyes focused on something straight ahead of you, right in line with your eyes. And then just bring your elbow and your arm back. Bring it back where it goes comfortably, keeping it bent, keeping your elbow bent. Your elbow stays bent, and you're taking your arm back. As you're taking your arm back, notice what's moving. You feel movement in your shoulder blade.
So if you're sore from snow shoveling, you stop before you get to the sore part?
If is it just muscular soreness,
Yeah.
then if it's not extremely painful, just go with it a little bit. Just
Okay.
don't force anything. And then leave that alone. Just pause. And then bring your wrist back up. Do you need to stop and rest? Get off your wrist?
No.
Okay. Okay, so just let your hand hang. Okay, now again, turn a couple times, 2-3 times. And the next time that you turn, go to where you go comfortably and then stay there. And this time, keep your hand and arms there and just turn your head back and forth. So you're going to turn your head, you keep your arms there, and you turn your head.
Oh, not your arm.
Just turn your head easily and look. Notice as you're turning your head what you do with your eyes. Just notice.
Until you mentioned it, I think my eyes went ahead of where my head was.
Mhm.
But now I'm not sure what.
Okay, and then pause. Bring your arm down and rest. Your wrist hurt?
Not hurt is the word. Feels the stress.
So sometimes if you roll up a towel and hang on to the towel, it can help.
Just like that.
No, so that, I'm just thinking of it as a roll.
Hold on to it all.
See if that makes a difference. So if you're hanging on to so your thumbs in opposition to your fingers, hanging on to,
So you hold on.
you're not using it for the towel, you're just leaning on it. And then bring your arm up again. And again, just turn your whole self, looking at your wrist, looking at your wrist. Turn and come back. And notice what parts of yourself you're using. Just keep your
I think I should get a chair.
okay. We just happen to have one.
I feel like I did it two different ways.
Mhm.
One way, I start moving with my waist, pelvis first, and then everything else follows. And then one time, I start moving my arm, and then the sequence of movement goes down instead of up. Does that make sense?
Interesting. Yeah, it does. Everybody go ahead, lay down on your back and rest for a moment. Yes. And as with any lesson, anytime we stop to rest, it's an opportunity to pay attention to anything that's changing, anything you notice. It's about bringing your attention in.
My back feels closer to the mat.
I'm not listening anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. I felt like the right side, the floor was higher, which is kind of the same thing probably.
Okay, now very slowly roll to your side. Come back up and sit either on your chair or on your mat in the same way, with your legs in the same direction, leaning on your left hand. And again, so,
Pretty soon I'll be heavy.
come forward enough so your feet are flat on the floor. Just keep your sit bones on the chair. I don't want anyone falling off the chair, but if you're back too far, then there's restriction of your thighs on the chair. So just, you want just your sit bones and that much of your tush hanging on the chair. Okay, now bring your right hand up again. Again, and just turn your whole self to the left, seeing where you go comfortably now. Notice, again, are you inhaling or exhaling as you turn? Notice what you're doing.
I'm breathing.
You know, that, I'm glad you said that, because that's what we do. When we're focusing hard on doing something, we hold our breath. So breathing is good. So I just came here so I could, you don't need to take your arm back further,
Oh,
just
okay.
so your
About there.
whole, yeah, so your whole, just to where your whole self is turning. And now the next time that you turn back to your right, yeah, you're turning to your left, and then you come back to your right as far as you go comfortably, and stay there. And then just take your arm forward and back. You take it back as far as it goes comfortably. Notice what you feel moving. Do you feel your shoulder blade moving? Do you feel any movement in your spine? It's just your arm that's... Everybody come back to neutral.
This is the remedial class.
No, it may have something to do with the manner of expression. Okay. We'll take it step by step. Okay.
That's what happens when you're not here for, we fall apart.
Okay, bring your right arm up again and just do the whole turn a couple times with your eyes on your wrist. Okay. Now the next time that you come to the right, where you come comfortably with still looking at your wrist, stop there, keep your head right there, and just take your arm back further. You're going to take your arm and then further across yourself. Go in the whole range that your arm goes. Your head stays forward this way. Your head stays here where you were,
okay.
and now you just do the arm. Yeah.
I think we need to come early and play Twister.
Yeah. And then bring it back together so your arms in front of your eyes. And turn to your left as far as you go comfortably. And just do that a few times. See if anything is changing. Pardon?
My arm gets tired.
Well, stop and rest anytime you need to. Anytime you're starting to feel fatigue, and it's not communicating well with your brain. So honor yourself. If there's any discomfort, if you need to stop before I say stop, by all means stop. And everybody stop and rest. Everybody lay down and rest for a moment. That's part of the and then roll to your side and come back up to sit in the same way. Yeah. When you're getting up and down, roll completely onto your side. Next time you do it, okay, I'm going to tweak it a little bit next time we do it. Okay. All right, now sit in the same way with your and
Sit up more.
come
She'll yell at you.
Sit more.
come forward on your chair. Okay, now I have to figure how I'm going to tweak this on a chair. Place both of your hands on the floor to the left of your thigh. You're going to lean on your hands. And now leaning on your hand, just lift your right hip a little from the floor and put it back. You're going to have, I guess a chair would work, wouldn't it?
Some extra chairs.
Let's give you this. Actually, I haven't done this part on a chair before, so this is an experiment. Okay, so you're, pardon?
That's okay. Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you.
So you're going to just turn and lean on the chair. And now think of lifting your right hip from the floor, from the chair. Notice what you do with your belly when you do this. Now, can you push your belly out so you can help lift your hip? And don't strain, just go a little bit, go where it goes easily. Up a little bit and down a little bit. It doesn't have to be a big move, just so that you start feeling a little movement in your hip joint.
I should feel a pelvic rock, if you will.
A little bit.
Right. I can rock and all.
So it's like your sit bone lifts a little and you feel just a little movement in your hip joint. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, our pelvis tends to go where our belly goes, so if you're going to free your hip, you need to have your belly be free. So you push your belly out towards that chair. And you're pressing on your right foot. Pressing on your right. Do you feel movement in your hip joint? That's all we're looking for, is a little movement in your hip joint, because having movement in your hip joint is part of the whole process of turning in this position. Now intentionally look in the direction that you're going while you lift your hip. And then leave it alone. Roll on your back and rest.
Can you rest at night?
Yes, you can rest sitting up. Usually I say it, it's not about you really needing to rest, but with this lesson it actually might be. But, yeah. This one's a little more of a workout than, but notice what you notice. Is there a difference between the right side and the left side? Does one side rest more heavily on the floor than the other? What about your breathing? Is anything changing in your breathing? And then slowly roll to your side and come to sit again. Same position. Right leg back. Leaning on your left hand. Bring your right hand up in front of your, and now paying attention to what you do with your breathing, begin to turn your whole self to the left. And just do that a few times. Notice and watch your wrist as you turn. I did. No. Notice what, do you feel your whole spine rotating? Does your right sit bone lift from the floor a little bit? Is your belly free? Does your belly come out as you turn, come in as you come back to neutral? Are you feeling the rotation in your spine? Do you get taller as you turn? Do you get taller or do you get shorter? Now, the next time that you turn, let your eyes follow so that you're, and see where you go. Just do a few turns and see where you go. Now this way, watch your wrist and think of looking and come back. So if you feel your, can you feel your spine turning now? And more of your spine turns now? Okay. So you think of getting tall. When we think of getting tall, that creates more space between our vertebrae, which allows them to turn more freely. So if you think of getting tall, your belly comes out. And then leave it alone, lay on your back and rest. Is your wrist hurting?
Yeah, I'm leaning on it.
Okay, so when we continue on the other side now, only do 2 or 3 moves and then stop and rest. If you're hurting in your wrist or any place else,
Just the weight on my
yeah,
wrist.
right. And that's true for, I mean, probably everybody feels some discomfort. But, and I should have said this earlier probably, if you're starting to feel uncomfortable or discomfort, then you need to stop and rest, because then your brain is busy
Worrying
attending.
about that.
Yeah, about your wrist. Exactly. You're right. Exactly. So we accomplish more if we just do a couple moves comfortably and then stop and rest. We just really, our brain appreciates it when we honor ourselves. And for most of us, we need practice on honoring ourselves. So, okay. All right, now roll to your side, come up to sit, but this time with your legs in the opposite direction. You're going to be leaning on your right hand now. Your legs are going to be going to the left. And are you comfortable that way? Comfortable means no pain. Are you having?
pain.
Okay, all right. All right. And,
I just can't lean on my wrist.
pardon?
I can't lean on my right wrist. Does it have to be flat on the ground? I mean, I can.
No, it doesn't have to be. That's why I said you can try rolling up a towel.
It didn't feel good with the towel. I tried.
Oh, okay.
As long as I do this, I'm okay.
Okay, that's good, no problem. All right, now bring your left arm up so that your wrist is like right in front of your nose, like the bridge of your nose. So it's up a little bit. And now this time, imagine turning to the right. Imagine doing what you did on the other side. And imagine it fully. Imagine how, not only how your arm will move, how your shoulder blade will move, how your spine will move. What will you feel in your pelvis, your hip joints? And after you've imagined it 2-3 times, go ahead and slowly turn to the left. Keeping your eyes on your wrist and just keep your arm only to where, to where your head goes, that's perfect. And then turn back again. And be sure you're leaning on your right hand. Can you feel that when you're leaning on your right hand, it helps to lift your left sit bone?
Push down on the left.
Pardon?
Push down on the left foot.
Yes. Pushing on your left foot.
Felt like I was doing that when I wanted to or not, so.
Yeah. Pushing. Remember, we think skeletally in these moves. So if you think about your skeleton, think of your skeleton moving. So if you press on your left foot, the force will go through your left leg to your knee, to your hip joint. So you could actually lift your hip joint a little bit, which would help your spine to rotate, your sacrum to rotate. And if your spine rotates, then your body turns more freely, your head is supported, you're not going to hurt your neck.
So your spine should be more or less vertical all through this?
Well, if you're leaning, it's going to be kind of at an angle.
Okay, but you should be rotating.
Yes,
Okay.
clockwise.
Okay, but not leaning back and forth like this is what I'm trying to say.
Right, you stay leaning on your hand. You stay leaning on the hand. Thanks for asking the question. And then you're watching your wrist the whole way. Leaning on your hand, pressing on your foot, thinking this can lift.
There I want to bend my right elbow and I think tilt too much.
Okay,
So-
but think of getting taller rather than,
Bingo, okay.
so think of getting taller as you turn. So if you press on your right foot, think of this potentially lifting, this lifting, the belly coming out. And leave it alone, stop and rest. Go ahead and lay down. Or sit back in your chair, whichever is appropriate. If the wrists are hurting too much, only do a couple moves and then stop. It's much more effective and efficient to do just a couple moves with comfort than to be in discomfort or to be in pain. Anything changing in your contact with the floor, excuse me, or your breathing. And then come back. Roll to your side, come to sit again. This time leaning on your right hand, your legs are bent so your feet are to your left. I'm getting my rights and lefts down here.
You need to get stickers. You need stickers.
Right.
Only just one.
Okay, and then bring your left arm up so your wrist is in front of your, like the bridge of your nose. But so that your head is level. You don't want your head looking towards the ceiling. You want your head to be level. So that you want to think of your whole spine from your tailbone all the way to the top in your head. And you don't want to be cutting it off at any place. So now imagine leaning on your right hand, turning with your arm is turning, your wrist pulls your elbow pulls your shoulder, your shoulder pulls your shoulder blade, which begins to pull on your spine, and your whole spine can rotate. So after you imagine it a couple times, go ahead and actually do the move. Think of getting taller. And then when you've turned as far as you go to the right, stay there. And just turn your head and eyes back to the left. Your arm stays there and just turn your head a little bit. You don't have to crank it to the max. Just turn it a little bit back and then look all the way to the right again. Turn.
Hey, got it. Make the eyes do it, not the head.
No, your eyes and head are, your whole eyes and head are turning.
Oh, both of them?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
your eyes are turning with your
Okay.
head. Now, that's
Okay.
easier, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't think of how to do it.
If you're leaning on your right hand, pressing down with your left foot, and turning that way, I feel like my whole spine has gone about 180 degrees, maybe not that much, but you know.
That it's corkscrewing kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So do it gently, because this is just waking up your spine. Okay, let that go. Lay on your back and rest. And the rest again is to notice anything that's different, any changes. Just like little kids love attention, we love attention when we give it to ourselves. And then roll to your side and come back up to sit in the same way. Bring your wrist up, or your arm up, so your wrist. And now, once or twice, turn to the right, your whole self, turn to the right. Go and come back a couple times. And now the next time that you're turned to the right, stop there, keep your arm and shoulder and everything there, and just turn your head and eyes back to the left. And then pause. Rest for a moment. And then come back, lean on your right hand, bring your left arm up. Again, and just turn your whole self to the right a couple times. Feel where you're going now. Now the next time you're turned to the right, stay there, let your arms stay there, let your head turn back to the left, and your head stays there, now just your eyes look right and left. And then let your eyes look to the right. Everything looks to the right, turns to the right, and just turn your whole self back to neutral. And then turn again to the right just to see where you're going now. And notice, is it different? Is any more of yourself participating? And then let it go, lay on your back and rest. You lengthen your legs. And then roll to your side and come to sit again in the same way. Lean on your both hands to the right of yourself. And lean heavily on, lean so your weight is really onto your hands. And now just think of lifting the left side of your pelvis, bringing it forward. Your belly comes out, you push your belly out. And do it just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just imagine your pelvis kind of rotating around your hip joint. So your pelvis will lift a little and go down a little. And it just has to be enough of a little bit of a lift so that you feel some movement in your hip joint. And if you free your belly, think of your belly pushing out, that helps those tight constricted abs also affect our hip joints. And then come back to sit. Bring your arm up in front of your nose again, in front of your, and leaning on your right hand, just begin to turn yourself around. Letting all of your parts move that have woke up or have awakened. I guess that would be more proper English. Notice, again, Are you holding your breath, or are you, okay? Try inhaling one time, and try exhaling one time, and try holding your breath one time. And then do whatever seems to be the most efficient. See, if we give our brain options, some variations, our brain will begin to choose the things that make the most sense to our nervous system. And then leave it alone. Go ahead and lay on your back and rest. You can lay down now. That's the end. Okay, now just you can go ahead and lay down too. This is the end of the moving. So this is where you're taking time to feel what's different.
I feel like my lower back is flat against the mat. Started off with some kind of elevation, now it's not.
Yeah, that tunnel that's frequently under our low back is chronic muscular holding. And as that lets go, then we tend to be more flat on the floor. More of us is in contact with the floor. So take time to scan yourself as we did at the beginning, feeling how your legs rest, your pelvis, torso, shoulder blades. Feel your neck and your head, your right arm and your left arm. We take time to do this just so that we pay attention. It gets our attention. Our brain notices the differences. Has anything changed in your breathing? As some of that chronic muscular holding lets go, we tend to breathe. It feels like we're breathing in more of our torso, like more of our self is responding, expanding to allow more air into our lungs and compressing to more fully empty the lungs, to get rid of the old air. I'm going to take a couple moments to imagine how you're going to roll yourself and come to stand. Imagine being able to do it comfortably, gracefully, elegantly. Yeah. Well, laughter is good medicine, right? So, and then when you're ready, take your time. You can begin to demonstrate that graceful, elegant move.
Oh, you elegant yet? I'm getting more graceful.
I'll be elegant.
I'm gonna be
Standing.
graceful.
Ta-da!
There, see?
Or maybe just grateful to get up.
There. Okay, and then just let your arms hang. I'm going to hold this chair.
You're still thinking about
That's fine. That's good. You take your time thinking. I'm just going to hold the chair for when you're ready so it's more stable. Good. See?
elegant.
Yeah.
This is how graceful you are.
Yeah.
Imagine
Look at it.
being elegant is just as good as being.
That's right. You're right,
Here, I
thank you.
imagined it.
Thank you. Okay, now you can hang it this if you want to. And you want to come with both feet off the mat, just so that you're both on the carpet. Yeah, so it's down. There you go. There. Now, feel how your arms are hanging. Feel your shoulder blades behind you. Turn your head or turn to look to your left and turn to your right, turn to your right, and turn to your left, just like you're looking around. Yeah, but
How about just side to side?
that sounds good too. Ruben suggests you turn side to side. Now, remember we were talking about your pelvis and about your head and that whole spine that's in between and how the whole spine rotates. So imagine your whole spine as you turn to look to the left and as you turn to look to the right. How much of you moves when you're looking left and right? You spent some time on the floor now, moving yourself in different ways. How much of you turns to the right when you look to the right? How much of you turns to the left when you look to the left? When we think of turning to look, when we're driving or turning to look, we only think of those 7 vertebrae that are in our neck, and that's all we turn, and that's why we end up with neck issues. But if you remember that you have a whole spine, your whole spine can be rotating for you to look to the left and to the right.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
This exercise,
Mhm.
was it just mainly for the top part? Because it still felt like I had a mile between, should it have been gone? Was I doing something wrong?
No, you weren't necessarily doing anything wrong. That might have been what you were thinking of as you were using yourself. But you just go with what is. What wakes up in a lesson wakes up. And there may be more to wake up in another lesson.
I have to get a golf club out there.
See, so Ruben has his own imaginings of her. Okay, so how all the. All right. Any other questions or comments?
On that, when I was sitting in the chair,
Mhm.
again, that 2 different ways of turning occurred to me. One, I would just let my arm pull the rest of my body,
Mhm.
and then the rest of it, the other way was let my lower torso turn my upper torso.
Excellent.
And that
The second side I was gonna try.
That made a difference. I'm not sure what the difference was, but it feels different now.
Mhm.
And then when I got back to the floor, I felt I just smacked again, so.
Excellent. Excellent.
Whatever it is, it's different now.
Yeah, right. That's what we want is something different. Great. Thank you. All right.
Wow, if you felt warm, it's warm in here. Cold. Not really, they don't feel that cold.
Thank you for joining us with Moving Well. We invite you to come back again and keep on moving well.